think it's going to be a safe bet, Kim. There's going to be some white knuckles in the south tomorrow.
Already. People are, I think, panicking. Just already shelves are empty.
Hanging on to that steering wheel when you're driving.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
All right, words that don't go together very often: snow, ice, and the south.
That's right. And for a closer look at this, let's go to our winter storm specialist here, our storm specialist, Carl Parker. Carl.
Hey guys, we had some problems with Janice in southeast Texas in the Houston area. There were a number of accidents there as the roads were frozen. We saw some icing on the roads, and that is a possibility again tomorrow morning in the Houston metro. Most of the worst weather is going to be well to the east of Houston, but there will be just enough of sleet and possibly some freezing rain tomorrow morning in particular to cause a few problems. So here's a look at the forecast for the Houston metro, and that sleet and possible freezing rain mix developing in the early morning hours, continuing through the rush hour. So think about all those elevated roadways, and there are a lot of them in Houston at those big interchanges. You have 4 and 5 stacked upon each other. Those big ramps at the interchanges of the West Loop there in 59 as well as Beltway 8. And that's where there could be problems tomorrow morning, but it's all going to be moving out into the afternoon. Now in New Orleans, we're also looking for potential freezing rain, and that's going to be later in the day tomorrow, more towards the evening, and certainly there could be icing on a lot of the area roadways with temperatures at right about the freezing mark. Then it's going to begin to settle down overnight. So here's a look at the area of possible significant icing. That's the larger, lighter purple right there. That's possible significant icing, and then likely significant icing in southeast Georgia and southern parts of South Carolina. That's where we think it's going to be very rough. Charleston, look at this. Icy weather developing late in the afternoon, continuing through the evening into the early morning hours, and it's not just going to be light rain. It could be moderate freezing rain, maybe even heavy freezing rain. We can't even rule out possibly some thunder rumbling. Got a lot of cold air coming in place here, and then warm air riding up and over top of that, and that's going to set the stage for that significant icing come tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk much more about that coming up at the top of the hour. Chris, over to you.
Thank you for that, Mark. And this extended edition of Weather Center Live is going to be back at the top of the hour. We're tracking the latest winter storm that's going to bring a deep freeze to the deep south. We'll show you who will see freezing rain, sleet, and snow tomorrow.
Plus, freezing is nothing new for the Midwest. We head to Chicago to find out when the sub-zero temperatures will finally go away. And we leave you this hour with a live look at Charleston from the College of Charleston's campus. Get ready for a wintry blast. Details coming up.
A winter storm warning is in effect for our area. Currently in our area, 54 degrees under cloudy skies. Our local Doppler radar. For tonight, cloudy, low 33. Winds north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. For Tuesday, wintry mix of precipitation, cold, high 33. Winds north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Our week ahead.
Here's what you need to know to get ready for the Weather Channel's newest named winter storm.
Now is the time to prepare for Winter Storm Leon. Tomorrow will be too late.
Your drive to work or school will likely be very different than your drive home.
And Winter Storm Leon will lash New Orleans, Atlanta, Charleston, and Raleigh with ice, snow, and freezing rain.
Straight ahead on this extended edition of Weather Center Live, expert analysis of who gets what, how much, and when. And coverage only the Weather Channel can give you.
From the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Weather Center Live.
I'm Chris Warren along with Kim Cunningham. We're here with you for this extended edition of Weather Center Live.
I'll tell you what, there are words that just don't belong together. Snow, ice, and the South. It's not often that we get winter storms in hurricane country. In fact, the National Weather Service in Tallahassee says Winter Storm Leon could have as much of an impact on the area as a tropical cyclone.
And StormCon's already posted about this winter storm, and the bigger the number, the bigger the impacts. New Orleans, a 7 out of 10. Pretty high number.
That's a pretty high number.
Expecting some big impacts. To explain what we'll see from Winter Storm Leon and why it's happening, let's go to Storm Specialist Carl Parker.
And he's live in the Global Forecast Center with in-depth analysis you'll only get here on the Weather Channel. Carl?
Hey guys, when you get lighter freezing rain, that certainly causes a lot of problems on the roads, and that is going to be the worry along the northern part of the Gulf Coast, including New Orleans, parts of northwest Florida. But farther east, the rain's going to last longer. The freezing rain is going to last longer, and it's going to be heavier, most likely. Moderate freezing rain entirely possible tomorrow in southeast Georgia and southern parts of South Carolina, and that is where we could see significant icing that is enough to cause widespread power outages. So take a look at the forecast in Charleston, South Carolina. That freezing rain developing in the afternoon tomorrow, most likely towards the late afternoon. Then it goes on through the evening into the overnight hours. And again, we're going to see some bouts of more moderate rain as this is going on. And that's going to lead to a total accumulation of perhaps a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, maybe more than that. And this is the water vapor picture. So the upper disturbance that we're watching is way up in here in the northern part of the Rockies. That's going to zip across the country pretty quickly. That's going to be part of what provides the lift in the atmosphere for this moisture, which will interact with the colder air that is now coming down through the middle of the country. So here's a look at the significant icing possibilities, areas of possible significant icing again along the northern Gulf Coast, but it's more likely here in southeast South Carolina and in southeastern parts of Georgia. So we're talking about from the 75 corridor south of Macon around Cordell and Tifton, then farther east into Vidalia, into Savannah and Charleston, and then within that area, again, there could be some spots that get as much as an inch of ice accumulation, and that's going to weigh down those branches and those trees and bring down some power lines. So here's the model depiction of that. Notice the area of pink right there. That includes all ice, so that's sleet and freezing rain. The freezing rain is going to be more likely on the south side of that, and it's going to be light initially. This is 11 o'clock in the morning, but watch what happens as we go into the afternoon. See the deeper green right there? That's more moderate rain, and again, this area is sort of bisected, so you've got more sleet on the north side of this and then more freezing rain on the south side of this, but it certainly could be moderate freezing rain, and that's going to go on for hours. That's why we say it's really going to start to coat the trees and build up on these tree branches and weigh them down. Then some will snap off, and they'll snap off on the power lines and bring those down, and then you're out of power. And it's cold for at least 3 days. It's going to get warmer later in the week, but it's going to be very cold indeed for a few days. This will go on through the late evening hours, and then finally overnight we see a change over to snow, and the whole thing moves out by Wednesday. But it continues to be very chilly there in Charleston. Look at the temperatures in the upper 30s for a couple of days and falling into the 20s overnight. So if you're without power during that time, that could really be tough. At a minimum, you want to prepare by getting candles and flashlights together, that type of thing. But also you want to think about where you might need to go if you don't have your heat, because it will be too cold for you to stay in your house. Now this is the broader picture, and then here you see that icing that extends into Georgia, little bit of that in the northern part of the Gulf Coast, and that is snow there, and there's going to be a lot of it in North and South Carolina with a lot of wind, and we'll talk more about that coming up in about 15 minutes. Chris, back to you.
All right, thank you, Carl. Of course, we are here